A lot of big changes. For example, 10 years ago, you would not have saw a menorah on front of the library. That's some of the controversies that came with changing times. I think Haddonfield right now still has a strong, beautiful, strong core. And I think it's holding. There's one thing a lot of people in town are concerned with is many people now choose to move to Haddonfield, raise their kids in the school district, and leave. And this town needs that core that makes it what it is. The volunteerism in this town, like the projects you guys are doing, is phenomenal. We don't want to lose that. I'll give you a quote, too. I say Haddonfield is a village in the middle of urban sprawl. You don't want to lose that village effect. What happened was first I liked architecture from the gut, and I like Chicago. I grew outside Chicago. It has some of the most phenomenal architecture for modern architecture. And then when I came out east here, I saw a lot of architecture in Philadelphia, New York, and I still liked it. And then when I decided to settle down in Haddonfield, the town attracted me. And there's a group called AIA, American Institute of Architects, and I'm a layman. My field's marketing. And they started a layman's group where they would teach us architecture and we would give tours all around Philadelphia. And I thought, well, wait a minute. Haddonfield's got as much architecture from 1700s to now. And we have a great Victorian section. I thought we can do tours too here. So we developed 2 tours in Haddonfield. Yeah, Haddonfield's sort of a fascinating timeline. Where you go to high school, if you come down that street they're what you call the early 1800s, like the Historical Society, the house across the street. They're called the Federal period. And these were houses that we were imitating England because we had no history. And then by the mid-1800s, when you had the Industrial Revolution, Victorian architecture hit. And if you look at Washington Avenue, that has one of the best Victorian architecture in the town. And we have a historic district which has 550 homes in it. And that was a great thing that happened in 1971. That protected the developers and the tear-down guys. That's a real problem in Haddonfield, tear-downs, you know that, from tearing those down. So we have a great historical district. We have a Historical Preservation Commission, which I was on for years. So we have a very unique historical, Victorian period especially. They give you a sense of history, and they give you a sense of character. And that's something you don't get a lot in suburbia. Like Cherry Hill, I call those houses there called elephants in the fields, or McMansions. You know, they look like cookie cutters. Here you have a beautiful mix of architecture from 1700s and now, and the character is so prevailing. You can tell it has a strength about it. Architecture came as a result of the Industrial Revolution. Middle-class people now could afford bigger houses. A couple reasons for that. One was a construction called balloon construction, which when you see somebody framing a house before it's built today, that's called balloon. It was cheaper. You also had nails, and you could do things a lot cheaper. So you could build bigger homes for less money, and middle-class people could afford them. And it's called Victorian because a lot of the styles came from England in the mid-1800s. That's where the first Industrial Revolution came. So we're imitating a lot of Victorian styles in England. There's only 4 major Victorian styles, and we have them all in Haddonfield. Queen Anne, Gothic Revival, Italianate, and Second Empire. These are, you'd have to see them, but I have pictures up, but they're the 4 basic styles. Haddonfield has all of them. Like I said, the early period we call Federal. And that's that period. Now, when you're at the high school and you're coming out that little roof house there, that's 1720s. That's called colonial style. That was the first houses that came here, and that was wooden. If you go to the first houses in Philadelphia, they were brick. And there was a reason for that. 2 reasons. One, wood was cheap here, so they could build these little houses. The front of it was their business, the back they lived there. Now, Philadelphia, from the start, from Delaware River all around Independence Hall, always built with brick. There was one reason for that, because William Penn founded Philadelphia, and when he came here, they had just had the Great Fire of London, and all these houses were congested close, and he was petrified, and so were the people, that they'd have fire if we built the kind you built here. First period would be the colonial houses, with like that little colonial house, the one by the hip roof house, we call it. Then you got the federal period where you imitated Greek and Roman design, but because we didn't have any history. Then you had a little thing called Greek Revival, which was bringing you the Greek temple look. And then you had the Victorian. And then after Victorian, in any field you're in, I don't care what with art, it's action, reaction. People got tired of Victorian, so they went back to what you call colonial revival. These are called four-square houses. You always see round columns on it. They're sort of even built. And then around town here, we have something called bungalows. Bungalows are little, like arts and crafts houses. They're smaller homes, and we have a few of those in Haddonfield too. And then the last period that really was interesting before the suburban sprawl, the Fargo section came after World War II. That was one of the biggest changes in housing, because after World War II, that property was owned by Haddon Township, and we bought it from them. You know why? Because Haddonfield was afraid with the racetrack coming that with Haddon Township, there'd be bars, and we have no bars in this town. So they bought it up, and this developer did Fargo, which are called ranchers. It was the first time you constructed with drywall, and it was cheap. So after World War II, when all these soldiers came home and everyone wanted housing, the rancher became the next house. And then the last one would be the tri-level, bi-level. We have a few of those in town here too. That was part of suburban sprawl, which is like Cherry Hill, Voorhees. And that's the whole timeline. All that, starting way back there with that little house. Suburbia in 1850s. You know why? Because a train came through going from Philadelphia to Atlantic City. And so when that came in, all around Kings Highway, Warwick Road, and that area became Mansion Road. Because a lot of the wealthy businessmen said, we don't want to be in a crowded city, these row houses. They would take the train in and live here and then take the train to work. The reason for that is, by that time, they were rejecting Victorian. So in France, they had what they called Beaux-Arts architecture, where it becomes a scientific thing, and you wanted things to look beautiful again. And Chicago had a big exposition in 1803, and it looked like this. And what this was called the Great White City, because the cities were filthy then. So Chicago cleaned up. So all across the country, after Chicago did this, everybody wanted to be part of this great white city movement. And our answer to that was building that borough hall. It's called Beaux-Arts architecture. It's a combination of many others. It's a lot of scientific and artistic things working together there. And that's what makes that building unique.